Everybody, could you give a round of applause to our speakers today? Alrighty, yeah. So today we're about to talk about a curated look at the NFTs. Like we talked about marketplaces just now, but we are now going to talk about the actual collections that power those marketplaces. And specifically, we want to explore the community, the culture that powers these NFTs. And so I would like to first introduce Sam from Galactic Echo Space Garage.
Hello, everybody.
And Max from Nian, sorry.
It's all good. Neon Heroes, what's up, guys?
Simon from MixMob.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, and I'd like to, first start with Sam. If you could kind of like intro Galactic Echoes and,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for everybody who knows or is in our Discord, I go by Draper, but first name is Sam. Galactic Geckos, we launched September 22nd. Our team is filled with crypto OGs. We've been in constant communication like you do on Discord, full-time DGen, right, for about 5 years. And we came together, we saw Solana NFTs, and we felt like we could bring something different to the Solana ecosystem based on what we saw on Ethereum and even take it a step further. So that's what we went after. We love what the Bored Apes did in regard to you really feel like you're part of a community. But again, we have elements to our project that take it even to another immersive level. So mainly it's the lore. We work together as a team, we come up with concepts and write a story that pairs with our profile picture collection, but we also have art that is off-chain and additional collections on-chain that go to holders of the original collection. So we do have a little short video to show you guys. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Simon, could you also intro us to MixMob?
Sure. That was pretty cool, Sam.
Thank you.
I will go with the video too, just to start before I tell you more about our project. 1 second.
Make some fucking noise.
Awesome.
Yeah, so can everybody hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. So we're MixMob. We're a P2E game powered by Solana. We work under one premise. What would we do if an AI deleted our culture? So from that premise, in our game and in our lore, we went underneath and started a resistance movement to battle the AI. And what you saw there are our masks. And mask gives us anonymity in our community. And we believe that when you wear a mask, we all are part of the same community. So that's what's starting our game. We come from games. I come from game. I worked at EA, PokerStars, and other games for many years, and our job now is we were waiting for the perfect time where blockchain was in a point where we can start bringing games into it, and obviously Axie proved that. Sam and Galactic Echoes have proved the idea of bringing NFTs and start giving them lores and ways to get them bring that entertainment into it. Same with Neon Heroes, so we're really excited. We have a ton of crypto OGs backed our project. And yeah, here just to represent and tell you more about it.
Okay, awesome. Max, could you tell us more about Nian?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, my name's Max. I'm the founder of Neon Heroes, ex-surgeon turned full-time DGen. Basically, what we're building is a play-to-earn game on the Solana ecosystem. Essentially, our game is a third-person shooter battle royale. The best way to think about it is a mix of Fortnite and Apex Legends. And what we're trying to do is bring like a AAA quality game into the play-to-earn space. And we really want to stand up next to traditional industry titles like you see currently on Twitch and YouTube and things like that. And what we are doing in order to create this AAA title is essentially onboarding industry experts from AAA studios in our lead roles. We've basically got people from Riot Games, Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, Respawn Entertainment, and they're all building out a really high-quality game that we essentially imagine that's going to last for the long term. The other thing that we're doing that we're really passionate about is building a sustainable in-game economy. We are one of the first games to be implementing a stablecoin system inside our in-game economy, inside our own metaverse, that is going to form the backbone of our player-based economy. Our project wants to highlight our community, the diversity behind everything. We are one of the first projects, we are one of the few projects with a female co-founder, co-founder there, Wendy, sitting out in the front row. And yeah, like our community is, they come from all walks of life. We have 55,000 members in our Discord right now. We have about 30,000 Twitter followers. We're currently ranked 4 on Solana. And they come from all walks of life. I've had chats with all of them. It's a really down-to-earth community. They love cats. They love mech robots. They love, shooters. I've spoken to teenagers, university students, adults, parents. We're all about inclusivity and diversity.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, let's start off the discussion with how you approach culture, right? Because all of you have basically created these communities like 10K, 100K, like it's massive, right? And the interest is insane. And so I was wondering, like, how do you build your community? Like, what strategies do you use?
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great question. To me, when I hear the number 10,000, if you're thinking long term, 10,000 is a very small number, especially if NFTs are going to continue to penetrate culture. And it's interesting you mentioned culture specifically because, in my opinion, culture really is crypto's secret weapon, right? You have DeFi, of course, everybody loves DeFi, but DeFi is a tool. I'd say culture is more meaning. And as history goes on, people interact with NFTs. They're exposed with them more and more every day as Web 2 is working on integrating, for example, Twitter, right, with what they're doing with their system of profile picture verification. The more people see these things as a part of culture, that's just going to become who we are, right? So getting back to your original question, to me, 10,000 is not that big of a number. Right now, I think we're approaching 4,000 unique holders, and it's almost like, what happens when we get to 8,000, right? So 10,000 is a small number, Tom.
No, for sure. Yeah. Simon, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. For me, culture, I think it's the key to the growth of the ecosystem. People, we talk a lot about this internally, and when you look at cities like Paris, Tokyo, London, people are willing to pay higher taxes for the culture, for entertainment. So the idea of bringing culture into our world, it's on point. And for us, we bring culture. Our whole premise is what would we do if an AI deleted our entire culture and we needed to rebuild it? And so if you see the masks that we just showed you, they grab things from actual culture like Mickey Mouse ears and Simpsons eyes and things like that we're rechaining. And one of the things that we love about crypto is we're remixing, it's a remix culture. So that's, for us, our key focus to grow community, remix culture, bring them all together. We all accept diversity. Max mentioned that. That's huge.
Max, I know that you guys have been also running a lot of community challenges as well, like and that seems to be part of like how you're building out the community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We are obviously very passionate about our community. We have a great community in our project at the moment. And yeah, like the way we want to build our community is kind of very diverse. We're not specifically targeting existing community groups in only the Web3 space. We have a very unique IP that we've created. On the one hand, we have these really cute, quirky-looking cats, but on the other hand, they're sitting in these badass mecha robots, and they're running around a battle royale field, shooting each other with futuristic guns. It's quite an eclectic mix. And I think that's what sets us apart, from other projects. We're not really trying to fit within the same mold. We're trying to carve out our own niche in the space. And I think that's important in crypto because it's such a new, nascent industry. There's so much potential for growth. I want to expand horizontally, onboarding more and more people into our community and into the whole Web3 space. Through diversity rather than necessarily doubling down on existing concepts. And yeah, we did do a bunch of really crazy community events as part of our pre-sale. Like one of our requirements was that our community had to find a cat. It could be their own, it could be a friend's, it doesn't matter. They had to find a cat, pose next to it, and send a little paper slip with the current date and their Discord name on it. And that gave them an entry, a raffle ticket to one of our pre-sale events. We actually got like almost 3,000 entries for that, which was amazing to see. So yeah.
Dog owners are not going to make it. Huh?
Doggos are not going to make it, I'm sorry. No, we love doggos. So
it seems like lore is like a really important like facet of like all of your projects. Like how do you kind of like approach it? Like
Yeah. So I do a lot of the creative direction for Geckos. I definitely don't have a formal education in creative writing, but I was a big reader as a kid, and a lot of our lore, you can look back at famous titles, and there's inspiration there. There's some Star Wars inspiration, some elementary fantasy inspiration. So that's the base of it. But we work as a team. We talk to the community. People suggest ideas. We won't run up to somebody and DM them and say, hey, we're going to go with this. But we're inspired by the community. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what are some of like the challenges that you guys have kind of like faced as you've been building out your projects? Simon, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go. Besides the technology changing, everything so new with Candy Machine, Solana, actually, I would have to say probably that. It's like you're in a frontier and you're just trying to figure it out as you go. We are newer. You guys are showing the way to this movement. So it's pretty cool. But definitely Solana, understanding Candy Machine, the limitations. We were just talking about this, Sam and Max, just behind the scenes, and it's that Candy Machine it's such a beautiful product for NFTs, but at the same time, it's just very laser focused, doesn't like to be twinkers. So some of the ideas that we have, like whitelisting, things like that you could do for example, in Ethereum, you can do with Candy Machine, or if you can, you have to do all these other ways. And Sam, you were saying you figure some of that out, but that would be number one. Number two is all these projects, if you were thinking about doing an NFT project, you've seen it. It's all about the community. Community, it's what's going to run the show. And building that community, starting from zero, you need to have very strong values, very strong lore, a really good storytelling. So that is, how do you start that? How do you prove that your story is good, that your values are strong? Just validating that. So I would say, just to summarize, definitely the technology and experimenting with that, with the community, the mechanics of building that community. It's definitely some of those challenges.
And I think at this point in the history of Solana NFTs, it's very expected for things to be like that, right? Like we're still very on in the adoption curve of Solana NFTs and NFTs as a whole. So for us, we expect the tools for creators to get better over time.
Yes, I think that's a must.
Right.
For us to all grow, and we're looking forward to just teaching and showing the ways like you guys have. So that it is something else that I would like to say is, one thing that I love about this community is, and you hear it talk often, is it's not a zero sum. There's not like a winner or a loser. Like we all part of the community. We're all growing. We're all sharing knowledge, and that's something that's really cool.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're all still early.
We're going to make
Yeah,
it.
one of the major challenges, that we found was essentially, self-imposed, because we like to do things different. I personally really don't like copying, other ideas or even other protocols. I really like to make things challenging for myself. So we did a pretty unique, pre-sale event. But part of that, we ran into some issues with the tech side of things. But yeah, so for example, like the candy machine that currently is hosted by Metaplex, which is really great, doesn't have a whitelisting function. And that was a problem because we wanted to whitelist our community in order to get our pre-sale NFTs. So what we were able to do was actually implement a whitelisting function ourselves, on top of the existing repository. Happy to open source that code to anyone that wants it. I think it's a pretty valuable tool that we were able to execute pretty well. I think our community was really appreciative of the fact that our pre-sales largely, for the most part, prevented bot buying and bot flipping with that, which was pretty cool. So yeah, if anyone else wants to use the candy machine but wants to have a whitelist function, yeah, hit me up afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things that could be done as far as the minting process programmatically. But one of the things that we try to do is bring innovation to our project on the tech side. And one of those things originally didn't go as planned, but was to develop an on-chain registry with an Oracle to keep track of different events that the geckos took place in our adventure, in our lore. And we were very, very close. It was almost there, but there's just key small but key pieces missing that just not quite there yet. But we're looking at a lot of things now. We want to you can do this on Ethereum, but not yet on Solana. We want to be able to take individual NFTs and form a composite NFT. I know other projects have sort of suggested at doing it. I think, is it Infinity Labs? Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they've developed the tech yet, but that's definitely something that we're looking into and to incorporate it later on.
Well, I'm also curious as to, speaking of the user adoption that you were talking about, I think that we've seen a lot of projects currently focused on Web3, communities, right? Like targeting the crypto native people. Right. But they haven't really branched out yet to, to our average,
Sure.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering, what are your views on it? And, how do you want to tackle that?
Well, I think it's really Web 2's job to do that. So again, getting back to sort of my first answer is that the more Web 2 does that, the more exposure is going to come to the crypto native culture, right? And I think that's, we're all here because we're all crypto native. Like, we want Tom Brady to have, the King Scully, right? We want our culture ingrained in mainstream culture, and I think NFTs are the method to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, then you get, if you get mainstream looking at NFTs, which they have, you also buy a gateway drug, get them looking at DeFi.
Max, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're really passionate about bringing, crypto gaming to the mainstream. That's one of our personal end goals for our product. And, obviously we're going to be doing everything on our end internally to make that happen. But I know there are a ton of, great other projects out there at the moment that are building their own tools to kind of help other gaming projects integrate a lot more seamlessly. I don't know if any of the guys from Stardust are here, but shout out to the Stardust guys. I think they're doing some incredible work. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before the rest of the tool set is developed for other games to just kind of plug and play. And essentially, we want to create a really seamless UI where players can play our game, get automatically assigned a wallet as they sign up into our service, and that all runs on the back end without them even having to realize necessarily that there is a Web3 component behind it. And I mean, they can obviously get into that later on if they want to, but at least having that first user experience be seamless is something that's pretty important to us.
Okay. Another question that I had was, we've been seeing a lot of projects start to integrate and discuss collaborations, and even for I believe that Monkey DAO, for example, is also working with squads, and they're going to do a ton of stuff moving forward. I'm curious, do you guys have a roadmap for that, or any plans there? You working with other projects?
Sure, absolutely. For us, so one of our key focus in our game, in our project, is user-generated content. We believe that that's the future of the space. And for us, having the tools that you mentioned, Stardust, shout out to them. We talked to them and what they're doing, allowing people that are passionate and creators to create in our games, in our ecosystems, and share those creations and mint them, make them part of the culture. It's for sure key. So user-generated content, just that idea of collaboration with the community, it's 100% key for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like collaborations between NFT projects is the future. Even in the sense of multi-chains, right? Because we're all heading towards like a multi-chain universe, I think, at the end of the day. And it's just, I think it's a highly personal choice with your project whether you want to implement that internally in your own project, or whether you want to do it through another project that is more focused on that. For example, we spoke to some of the guys at Nifty Island. We've also spoken to the guys at Rushdown Revolt. They're doing some pretty amazing things, incorporating like a whole slew of metaverse projects into their own ecosystem. And that's really great. We definitely want to get involved in that. We're also working with another one called High Street, which is like a VR metaverse. And yeah, it's really exciting. We definitely want our Nyangs, our cats, to be in many metaverses. I think it just comes down to a choice, like whether you want that to be your own as well. Like that might be, like we have some pretty ambitious plans for our metaverse, so that like adding other projects into ours might just be a little tad much in terms of like technical liabilities, but more than happy to join in other existing metaverse projects. I think the aggregator approach is pretty cool.
It is. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room and flexibility for NFT collaborations. We're doing a lot of things like that. Shout out Little Rocks, they're minting in a few days. So our art is 2D, but of course they're a 3D metaverse, and they built a 3D Enigma crystal. And right now we're working with them to get those out to our community. So I think there's room for that, but I also think there's tremendous opportunity between NFT projects and DeFi projects. I'm of the opinion, not everybody shares this opinion, but an NFT project should not necessarily have a DeFi element to their own project. However, I do think there's room for partnerships and collaborations with DeFi. So we've had conversations with staking solutions, so on a very superficial level, incorporating that into our lore somehow. So for example, MSOL could be the official currency of the geckos in the Geckoverse. But there are ways to go beyond that. There's the lending, the collateralization of NFTs, and I'm sure you guys have looked into that too. Yeah, after you.
Oh, sorry, what was the question?
Collateralization of your NFTs?
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned DeFi. I think for us, because we're building a metaverse, essentially, land, the idea behind land, giving our land, so one of the biggest plans we have is the deflatory system of land. So what if in our metaverse there is water that takes over the land, you can rent your land. So it opens the opportunity for so many things. Also, the idea of one big thing that we're doing in our game is we have an avatar, and the idea of renting your avatar and being able to play with the avatar to somebody that is renting that, it's fantastic. And these are concepts that we've dreamt for years in games. So I worked at FIFA for many years, and one of the biggest problems was how do you share accounts? If somebody has an account, how do you share that? How do you share the currency? And so now with blockchain, especially with Solana, it's a dream come true for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think NFTs initially started out as PFP projects. That was the main driving force behind the whole thing. But I think in the future, the more utility you can assign your NFT, the more value it's going to have. And when we start talking about, like putting your NFT to work, that starts to assign it a lot more utility. And, games or projects can put their own NFTs to work in their own games, but on top of that, you can partner up with other DeFi protocols, and you can collateralize, for example, your NFTs in terms of like borrowing, lending. I've spoken to another guy who's creating like an NFT automated market making solution, which You know, you started talking to me about it, and honestly, I got to say, a lot of it went over my head, but it sounds really amazing. So yeah, just really exciting to see the potential possibilities of how you can use your NFTs. I think we're just scraping the surface.
Right. I mean, with the hackathon alone that we organized recently, we've, I believe Nifty was like the winner of our digital art collectibles, and I believe that that's the project that you were talking about. Yeah, no. And it's super exciting to see kind of like not only games, but DeFi projects or, you know, NFT projects and Web3 projects. It seems like they're all kind of like converging into one. They're all creating DAOs and like building on like the primitives that we have currently and using them. Cool. That's awesome. But I guess like I wanted to ask, like you mentioned, you know, utility of NFTs. What is kind of like your view? Like how do you think like NFTs are going to evolve, like, you know, moving forward? Simon, you want to?
Sure. I think back to the user-generated content, the utility for us is what you can do with your avatar in the game, what you can do with the assets that you have in the game. So for us, customization is huge in our game, in our lore. So how you look in game is going to give you the flex, and not only the flex, but it's going to give you the cloud of how you look in real life. Sorry, it's going to give you the cloud of how you look in the game. So for us, that's super important. In real life, we dress, you know, we have certain styles. So just giving that utility to players to be able to customize, and not only customize, but sell those customizations in marketplaces, rent your avatars to other people to play. That to us gives a lot of utility. And back to the user-generated content, DeFi, I agree 100% with Sam. DeFi, user-generated content, that's how you give utility to these worlds.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick to my guns here as far as culture and entertainment media. You know, it's a $3 trillion business worldwide. NFT total market cap, if you're looking at Ethereum and Solana together, maybe 12, 13, 14 billion. So there is a ton of room for growth. And yes, you can do things like really complex games that look like real world games. I get that. There's room for that, and I think that falls under what I'm saying. But as far as finding or even stretching utility too far in NFTs, I don't think it's quite time for that yet. I think there's a lot of work to be done on projects, not necessarily profile picture projects, but more entertainment, digital identity solutions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to, I guess, we're coming to the end of our session here, but we, several weeks back, we had a 14-year-old student mint her own collection of NFTs, and it was wildly successful, of which she donated a large sum to a conservation fund. And I was just wondering, do you have any advice for future NFT projects that are looking to build on Solana and
Yeah, I think the best thing is just to be honest with yourself. The quality of your art, the quality of your team, the commitment that you have, and everybody hates to hear it, but the market conditions. Take those things to account, and don't try to force a launch if you are not at least 85, 90% confident that you're going to have a successful launch. Yeah.
For me, if you're going to launch your own NFT collection or project, start with community. It's an obvious statement, but sometimes we forget. And the way you start with community is with strong values, a strong story that you can engage with the community. I agree with Sam 100%. Just make sure that everything is in order. Your technology, you understand you're 80% there. Don't rush it. And lastly, I would say make sure that you validate that with the community. I think that's important. You just show your work. Sometimes we're too precious, with our work.
Yeah.
But if you share it, you get feedback.
And I think it's important to validate with it in your early community members.
Exactly.
But also to show it to somebody who doesn't really know much about NFTs.
That's right.
And ask them to be brutally honest.
100%.
And people will DM me from other projects, and I'll be very quick to tell them, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone can make their own NFT collection. My own personal advice would be to forge your own unique identity. I think we are far too early in our phase or our NFT cycle to be copying or recycling the ideas or works of others.
Right.
There's so much potential that is untapped in the NFT industry right now that I would really encourage people to do something unique, do something meaningful, find a problem, find a solution for it that actually addresses that problem, rather than trying to necessarily just see what else is working and just, oh, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to copy that, I'm going to, do X, Y, Z. I think forging your own unique identity is going to be key.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for your time, and
Thank you.
it'll be exciting to see the continued growth of NFTs on Solana.
Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.